We've had a look at single club exercises earlier on. Now let's have a look at double clubs. From the floor park position, bring the clubs onto the edge of their barrel and swing them up to the order position. Casting now over the shoulders, we're going to aim like we are scratching our back with the clubs. This is the double gamma cast. This is one of the main cast variations, and now using two clubs, we can really help open up the front line of the body while strengthening grip and the shoulders themselves. We can add a swing in between each one, breaking down what the club swipe is like. So we always stop at the order position, have fixation there, and then bring the clubs over the shoulders in a smooth, controlled action. Again, thinking like you're trying to scratch your back. Come back to the order position, and then bring them down into their swing, into the park position on the floor. Much like your kettlebell stop-start swings, we're going to do this every time we do one of the gamma casts and coming down into our swing. Next, we're going to come up into the club swipe itself. This is one of the exercises for club sports, and it's a fast, continuous movement. So we come into our park position on the floor, tilt onto the edge of our barrel, and swing the club up. But now, what we do as the club comes up is we keep it close to the center of our body. We don't want our arms coming fully straight out in front of us, as this will create a chaotic swing pattern that's not going to be of benefit to your body as you swing the club. The tighter your swing up and over the shoulder, the faster you'll get through the rep and the safer you'll get through the rep, allowing you to get more in the time frame when you're competing. From here, as you swing it up and over the shoulder, aim to keep the swipe nice and tight. So we want the clubs to come up and tightly over the shoulders without hitting them, stretching through the front line of the body, creating a big opening all the way through the front of your body, and then we're going to pull back down using our lats and our triceps to sling the clubs over the shoulders and into the downswing. But instead of stopping on the ground, we're going to do a continuous swing back up and over the shoulder again. Club swings. This works exactly the same way as a kettlebell, although you're going to feel some slight differences as you go through due to the long nature of the club itself and where its center of gravity is balanced compared to a kettlebell. Grip your handle and tilt your clubs over onto the edge of their barrel. Hike it up behind you like you do your normal kettlebell swing, with each club going on outside of the legs. And then drive with your hips till you come up straight and tall into the tall standing plank position, with the clubs coming up on their own like a kettlebell swing does, and they become an extension of your hands. So the clubs will point forward as an extension from your hands. They will not be facing the ground or the sky. And as the weightlessness finishes at the top of the swing, allow the club to come down itself into the downswing, pulling you into the downswing. Don't make the mistake of hinging over at your hips directly at the same time as the club enters the downswing. This is a common mistake with swings of any sort, and it throws your timing and your balance out, as well as places incorrect forces and strains on your back that are not needed and will only serve to cause injury. So allow the club to pull you into the downswing as it enters itself. It'll be roughly about halfway into the downswing before it pulls you into your hinge. With your breathing patterns with all of these, remember to breathe in as you come up and breathe out as you hinge over to finish off the bottom of each rep. The double Kodo cast. Swing the clubs up to the order position, extend your arms out to the side, and bend now simply through the elbows Imagine like you were trying to scratch your back with the clubs. Keeping in this position, you can hold one out in an extended position while one casts behind the shoulder. When you have finished that cast, you can then move to the other hand. You can alternate this much like what a drummer does beating on a drum. So we can have one alternating with the other before one has come to its resting position. The main thing to try and remember to do is to keep a good neutral spine position. Also remembering to breathe as we cast and to try not to elevate the shoulders. So try not to shrug your shoulders to your ears as you bring the clubs into the cast. Try to, as much as you can, to simply bend through the elbow and bring the clubs nice and close to the back of the shoulders to keep it in a good center of gravity. So the club shouldn't end up in the middle of the back. They should be directly behind your shoulder blades as the end finishing point. And then coming back out into the full extended flag position. The double shield cast. Come up into our order position, and keeping one hand in the order position, we're going to lead one club over the opposing shoulder. Try to, as much as you can, to keep your head still and move the club around your head. It's going to end up going over the shoulder first before pointing down to the ground, coming behind the head and pulling tightly over the shoulder that's holding onto the club. One thing you want to be aware of when you come to the end position is to not let the club flail out outside of the shoulder. Imagine you are beside a brick wall, and if you come and let the club flail out to the side, you'll smash your club into the brick wall, damaging both the club and the wall. What we want to do is keep it nice and tight as it comes into this pullover position back to the order position. So what this is going to teach you is throughout the movement, you're going to learn where you relax your grip and where you tighten your grip. So one of the key elements here is not to be tight on the grip the entire time throughout the exercise. I find that you relax your grip as you feed the club over your shoulder, let it swing behind the head, and then you grip to pull over back to that order position. Alternating which club goes over which shoulder after each rep. Breathe in as the club goes over the shoulder and breathe out as you tug over the shoulder to come back to the order position. Making sure that you are straight and tall throughout your back with a nice neutral spine to help maintain good posture and balance. Now we come to some of the most technical exercises that you'll do. The double mill. Coming from the order position, we're going to swing both clubs in the same direction as each other, across the midline of the body. One will come across and one will move away from the midline of the body. It'll travel down in front of our knees, coming up to the other side of the body, where we will pivot on our opposing foot. We're now going to lead both clubs up and over the back of our shoulders, and as they come over the shoulders and enter their little pendulum swings, we're going to pivot and rotate through our foot to the other side to create the throw or the cast over the shoulder. One of your key things to remember here is not to fold over at the hips as the clubs come in front of the hips, not to arch the hips forward as they come over the back of your shoulders, but when you come into the cast over the shoulder is to use the feet to create the power and the drive. As you cast it over the shoulders, try and keep the elbows in a pulling down motion and keeping the clubs tight to the body. Don't travel with the club. A common mistake here is people will extend their arms fully straight in front of them and they will follow along with the club, causing them to bend and fold at the hips and travel forward in an unbalanced motion. but also too, this will pull the shoulder out of an unstable position, placing strain on the shoulder. So keep the clubs close to the body as they enter their downswing, and also as they enter their upswing, ready for the next part of the mill. All of these exercises, the clubs will stay close to the body. We want to keep them in a nice, stable position where we can stay straight and tall, but also be able to utilize the full extent of our feet connecting through into our hips and into our shoulders to create proper technique and power and drive. The alternating mill. This is one of the most technically difficult things that you'll ever learn with the steel club. You're going to start up in the order position and you're going to throw one club over into a mill. And as it starts to enter its downswing, you're going to begin the other arm's mill right behind it. You can use the same technique as taught in all the other mill variations beforehand, using a pivot in your feet as you mill over each shoulder. The aim here is to try not to actually think about it too much. Thinking too much will cause you to stiffen up and struggle to get the technique required for it. But what my suggestion here is, take the weight off your barrels. Remove your weight and start with something small and light, where you can slowly and carefully move through the movement, creating the muscle motor pattern required for when you become more fluid and loose. Remember to breathe. The biggest thing here, as I was learning to do it, was I kept holding my breath through frustration of not being able to get the exercise. I was thinking too hard, I was stiffening up, and I was holding my breath. Open up, relax, and allow your body to flow. Your body will know what to do because you will be able to instruct it through your own instinct of how to make it move. If you practice the regular mills enough, this will become second nature to your body and it will not be as a difficult challenge to get through. But why would we use an exercise like this? This is one of the big key things we've talked about with training coordination in the body. So not only is there a physical response, but there is also a neurological response of creating coordination from one side of our body down to the opposing side on the lower half. So as you are trying to practice this, work on the mills from outside to in as shown in the video here. Inside to out mills are a lot more difficult to learn. Breathe and find your rhythm as you're coming through. But remember the key element that I did say before, keep up straight and tall, pivot through your feet, and keep the cast in the mill close to the body. Don't allow the club to extend too far away from you, as this will throw your center of gravity out, but now here in this exercise, it will also throw your timing out.